MAUL or nothing.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of MAUL or Nothing with Ryan and Max. And earlier on, we caught up with the Italy captain, Michele Lamaro, who was jumping on a plane home. So Max wasn't able to join us for that because he was getting beasted in training. But a lot of interesting things said with Mitch, a lot of thoughts around that France-Italy result and those last few moments that could have sealed a win for the Italians. But in any case, we'll hear about that in a little bit. We are first going to go and turn our attentions. It was a miserable Murrayfield a fortnight ago against France, and then it turned into a sublime Scotland and Duane dancing delight, and a pretty giddy Ryan Wilson, I'm sure, counterbalanced by rather melancholic and miserable Max Leif. Ryan, go on, be smug.
Boys, I don't want to be smug, and it was a lovely intro, Mark, and I love that you've thrown straight to me. But what we've obviously spoken to Mitch already, and what I actually see the anger and the rage on our old mate Max Leif's face right there. He's got a new clock, not cock, in the background, and I can see that he's angry. And I don't think it's just the result of the weekend that's made him angry. There's something else. So, yes, we're way past the dry Jan for me and Max being happier. Max, what's wrong? Why are you trying?
I will say, lads, what I will say is I've been really looking forward to this. My catharsis is upon me. I can rant and rave to you fine gentlemen. Lads, today was like a reenactment of the Helm to Deep. It was full goo, bone on bone, until you died. I'd rhabdomyolysis. I couldn't believe it. It just went on and on. We were just killing each other. It was a good session in hindsight, but in it you were like, I don't think I've got an attention span this long. It was impressive stuff. We got some good work done, but yeah, I am dust. So John Dustwell.
Why is he doing that to
you? And a cold razor beckon. What's that?
Is it because you've had a bit of time off?
You've got to pay for those weeks off, right? You know how it is. This limbo now. It's like a mini off season. This Six Nations break. It's fucking bizarre. It's quite nice though. I won't lie. But yeah, today got weird. Lads, the sports scientist came up to me and goes, mate, you were like 90% heart rate for over an hour in that session. I was like, yeah, good. I felt it. I felt like a prisoner of Azkaban. It was god awful. Oh. Like you do one thing, like you have to get through a nasty carry, get through the traffic of really keen academy boys trying to maim you. And then I was out of it for 3 phases. Oh my God!
Not for you, not for the old stalwart, mate. You've just
I know. You'd have thought, but I'm a highly tuned athlete, Ryan.
Well,
the minute I stopped,
you're moving house.
Yeah, I know. It's all just been stress, isn't it? I don't know.
How is the house? Is it nearly? Are you nearly there? You've got a clock. You have a clock, and have you painted any walls?
Yeah. Upstairs, painted the 2 bedrooms. They're looking dreamy, heavenly. This room will be destroyed, absolutely decimated, and I'll try and extend out into the garden somewhat, and maybe bring the kitchen in. I really want to blast through this wall that goes into the living room, but that's a job for another day. But yeah, it's very homely. I'm very cozy in this place. Good light, south-facing garden. Look at that. Look at it. Just delightful.
That is lovely. Should we talk about something that was even more delightful at the weekend?
Oh, Duhan van der Merwe being naughty and horrible. Duhan van der Murder. All the poor pommies. He was untouchable. He's Teflon, isn't he? He is a freak show. We are witnessing one of the great wingers of the modern day game, I think. And South Africans, they talk about Kirtley and Cheslin, and they're like, Duhan wouldn't make the team. You're lying. That's nonsensical rubbish. He is like a Russian experiment. He looks like Ivan Drago, plays like him. Horrible.
Do you reckon, do you genuinely reckon like South Africa, Rassie, those boys are looking at it going, oh, what have we let go there?
I think they would have found a way to implement him in some destructive, nefarious way. Oh. Absolutely. He'd be in there somehow.
They probably have him in the back row. But I'll be honest. I mean, I talked about being Crowley in the Ireland team, like that was probably the easiest job going out there in the Six Nations at the moment. Being a player for Scotland at the weekend was probably one of the easiest things going. Like it was just embarrassing, boys. You know what? It's actually it's getting a little bit boring though. It's starting to get a bit boring. Like, give us a little bit of a fight. It's just like
Jim Hamilton saying the fans' Grand Slam is still on. I was like, oh, that is classic, but fair.
Well, it was just, you know what I mean? And like, I'll be honest, the boys didn't even take the handbrake off. People are saying, oh, Scotland didn't even get to second or third gear. They didn't even take the handbrake off. Like, England were that bad.
Let's be honest. Those first scores were off turnovers. They're very good, very good. Don't get me wrong, but I thought England were in control for a good part of that game. And then, obviously, as the scoreline piled up, and then the manhandling started. Fair play to the Scotland pack. They got aggressive. They got strong.
Oh yeah,
Max. No, wait. Do not. You've played into his hands. Can we just stop? Like, what happened to like humble in victory, gracious in defeat? Like, just sitting there going, it was easy. We didn't even. I'm not even sure we were in first gear. I can't think we could. Rugby is so easy. I mean,
hold on. Can I just double check, Mark? This week, are you a fucking Welsh, French, or English fan? Just tell me, because you can't just.
I'm not an English. It's anyone but the English. Yeah. It's anyone but the English. I'm Wales and France. Come on,
you are incredibly Anglicanized.
Yeah, but no blood. Just through like living here.
Yeah, just from living and schooling and just. Yeah.
We'll get onto it. We'll get onto the fucking French and the flukiest fuckers in town. But honestly, I don't think England were pretty shit. They were pretty shit. I mean, that one try at the beginning to keep things interesting for Netflix when they let Furbank go through, that was about all you saw. And then the rest of it was just. But the thing was, Scotland, I don't think played that well. It's just the fact that Finn Russell has got balls of steel, and that man. Like, the way he's taking it to the line, boys are coming maiming his legs and he's still getting these kicks away. Like that turnover, yeah, he smashed that kick before and then it bounces, but it's 2 phases later, suddenly he gets it again and he just spots the space, puts the kick on the money. I don't think there's a better kicker of the ball at the moment, certainly not towards the post, because the man still hasn't missed a shot at goal. But he is on fire, boys. He is in there for the Lions. And yes, Duhan was good. But so were a lot of the backs. I mean, like the break from Hugh Jones, Sione Tuipulotu, like you're looking at the stats, we've got some stuff on the stats here, and I'm sure Mark will get into it, but gain line, he's something like 75% consistently in there in the Six Nations.
Smoggy was good.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I know we were good, but it is a given. And I said it before, it is a given now. It's 4 times in a row. It's actually, it's just getting a little bit too easy. So I know, as I said, I changed the course of events for Scottish Rugby in 2018, and this is where we are. So
wait, hang on, Max. Did you see that, by the way? Did you see there was an article in the paper, and it literally has a picture. It's in the Sunday Times. In the Times. In the run-up, and it has a picture of Ryan on, that really smug one with the Calcutta Cup.
Oh, and then you put it up, didn't you, on your Instagram, didn't you? You're check it out. It's Calcutta time, baby.
Some of the best days. That was one of the best days in a Scottish shirt. It was a good day.
Mate, you know what else was empty?
Mate,
he was horrible. He was an irresistible force.
He's a grafter. So we'll work back to front because the game was good and we had a good win. And you look at some of those players that played well, and again, Xander Fagerson just gets through an absolute graft of work, doesn't he? He's like a big old cornerstone now. Without him, Scotland probably don't look the same. Like when he went off. Oh, by the way, what about that? He went off for the old gum shield thing. Have you seen this? This new gum shield technology, but he's going, what am I going off for? Doesn't think anything of it. And it's something the gum shield. I'm starting to worry about those because imagine you go off after the gum shield.
Super Rugby's happening. Leonard Brown.
Yeah, it does worry. It does worry me a little bit, but he was.
They're just going to try it. They just got to see how it works and trial it out, and then they can sort of make adjustments in that regard. But I think Miller Mills.
I'm trying a fucking Six Nations, man.
Yeah, I know that the gravity is quite sincere. That's a good point. Yeah. I thought Miller Mills is looking like a great understudy to Xander Ferguson, though. I thought he had a very good impact coming on.
Yeah, he did. He looks all right, doesn't he?
Yeah,
young kid. He went all right as well.
Mustard.
So they'll be happy. Cam Redpath coming on, blowing his nose out. But if Sione doesn't pull through with whatever injury he went off with, because I think he did it pretty early on. I think he did it in like the first 5 minutes, his knee. So depending on how he pulls that, we've still got Cam Redpath there to pull out, and he was brilliant. So yeah,
just whilst you're saying with Sione, so that we don't get too far away from, but it is worth mentioning how he will be missed, and some of the stats. The highest dominant carry percentage in the tournament with 73.7%. You said 75, you were almost there, but the next best is at 53.8. So it shows just how dominant he is compared to everyone else who's playing in his position or who's doing dominant carries. You're right. He will be a big miss regardless, particularly for the fans Grand Slam decider in Dublin, potentially.
Yeah, a lot of that is because he can stick his head down and carry like a fucking Trojan, but also it's everything that's going on around him. You've got Hugh Jones coming down on those short lines where he looks out the back to give Finn Russell the ball, but actually drops it off to Shuggy, who goes clean through and gets the pop off the Big Duane VDM. And so it's everything that happens around him that gets him that. And I just think Scotland's attack, when they do get it right, looks so fucking dangerous. But, oh, boys. Do you know what? It was a big old weekend for me. I started on Thursday night. Simon Shaw and the boys from Gaucho came up. We had an event at Gaucho. And they said, you keen for a bit of dinner? And I was like, I'll take you out to Glasgow.
Yes, please.
So out we went for a lovely bit of dinner at a very nice restaurant in Glasgow. Took them to a couple of dodgy boozers, but the old bagpipes were going. Shawsy walks in, he's like, there's fucking always bagpipes in there. I was like, yeah, it's basically like a guitar, when you walk into a pub in anywhere else, it's a guitar, but here they play bagpipes. He's like, what? Mate, next minute, I'm like, do you fancy going? And he's like, well, yeah. So we're in the kitchen of this pub. He's blowing up the bagpipes, giving it, and I'm down the bottom like a snake charmer. Fucking absolute disgrace. So yeah, properly written off on Thursday. Big old event on Friday, a full day's graphs where Dylan Hartley was over. Fucking legend of a man. I love Dills and Barks. So that was a good one. But I was feeling dusty going into Saturday, and that made me feel a little bit nervous, boys. Like I was giving it the big by 20 points, but a slight bit of anxiety and a bit dusty. But I stayed off the booze because I had a little halftime activation, which I have to let everyone know about, because I did some stuff with some guys for Guinness on the pitch with Dundee Rugby Club and Glasgow Raptors RFC. Boys, it was very surreal. So they've gone, listen, can you go down and meet in the tunnel? But they meant the North Tunnel, which isn't the main tunnel. So I've gone down to the main tunnel and sort of let myself in. And the bloke who's normally there, I'm like, oh, listen, I've got to meet someone in the tunnel. He's like, for what? I said, oh, mate, keep it between us. But Gregor wants me in the tunnel in case they need a little bit of a rile up at half time. He's like, what? How fucking good is that? All the while I'm actually meant to be on the pitch. So I'm wandering down the tunnel thinking, this could be it. I could bump into George Ford again. This will be hilarious. Imagine that at half time, Wilson there just in the tunnel. But anyway, I'm on the pitch at half time, kicking balls at the crossbar, and Tom Walker's singing, "You Can Leave the Light On," bow, 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 bow.
Mate, how loud was that? It sounded amazing, but it was like I could really hear it in the halftime talk.
Yeah,
he was killing it. He was ripping it.
But that's where I lost my voice, because I'm screaming, "Come on, crossbar challenge!" So no one's hit the crossbar except me. 2 out of 3 on the money. Couldn't believe it. That's not bad from the 22. I know, boys. I know.
That is impressive.
So yeah, it was a good one. And the ultimate Guinness rugby experience, they call it. So it was good fun. Those lot, I hope they enjoyed it. I did ask them if they wanted to go full contact, but they were a bit like, oh, no. But a lovely day all round, and I couldn't have been more smug. Like, I walked into my hospitality gig afterwards and just gave it a, take that, you English bastards. Max, England are fucked though, aren't they? Because guess what they got coming next? The Irish.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to think of where England need to sort of rectify the situation.
Hold on a minute. So you're giving yourself a fucking chance against Ireland in 2 weeks' time, like after what you've seen. Like,
No.
Should we go back through again? We do it every week, don't we, Mark? But like scraping through the first 2 games, as Mark said, the under-18s of Wales, then barely firing a shot against Scotland, but Scotland not taking the handbrake off or getting out of second gear. And you've got Ireland coming to Twickenham, who are just annihilating people. They didn't annihilate Wales, to be fair, and we'll get onto that. But you think you've got a chance against the Irish? Like this could age like the clip of me laughing at you and Alfie in the pub when you said this is it, the Grand Slam decider. Oh, so smug when I saw that again. Oh.
I know. I saw. Yeah, the emojis were zealous and many and numerous. Yeah. It's a monumental task. Let's be honest. Yeah, it's unlikely, but I don't know. I just feel like England need to. I think they should start Spencer if they want to continue this sort of kicking, because I think Danny Care's just brilliant off the bench for England, and then I think there was too much one-off carrying. It was quite like. It was easy enough to defend, wasn't it? It was like Scotland found it very easy to sort of isolate carriers, choke the ball carrier, slow down the ball. It sort of just really made that attacking flow, that shape, very stuttery. So it'll be interesting to see where they like change things, because to get the best out of some of these players, they need to sort of rejig up what's going on, I think.
Yeah, it's just like I don't think they can play that brand of rugby. You know, like Scotland can do it, but I don't think England can. I wonder whether you chucked Finn Russell in there, what would happen?
If you put Finn Russell at 10 for England?
Yeah.
The thing is, George Ford's very good at playing to the line. It's just like he's obviously under a narrative to play percentages, like kick meters gained, that kind of vibe. Yeah.
But you know what I couldn't believe, right, before the game, looking at the stats? England were kicking the ball the least in the Championship. Scotland are kicking the ball the most. Obviously, a lot of these are kick passes from Finn, but the amount they kick the ball is a fair old whack. It's just finding the right times to attack and have a crack. So I couldn't believe that stat when I heard that. But yeah,
speaking of stats, though, guys, let's look at how badly. I mean, I know, Max, you're not seeing it perhaps in that way, but 22 turnovers. That's quite staggering, and 25 handling errors. I mean, it's kind of like schoolboy level, right? Almost.
Yeah, wasn't even fucking raining.
It was that was glaring, wasn't it? That was a big talking point. It was like people had hands of wood back out there, but these things happen, I can't talk. I mean, I've got hands like Ted Bundy. They're treacherous at the best of times.
Should we just quickly make a note, by the way, that Mark is in another hotel room, but this time he's in Singapore, just living it up. It's just fucking... Just in case people are listening going, why does he sound like he's in a shell? He's currently just slightly hungover. And what time is it there in Singapore, Mark?
It is 1:45 in the morning.
You're a good man. I love.
But you're not drunk, are you? You're not drunk now.
No, not drunk now. I'm all right now. I'm all right.
I have been.
I have. There's been a lot drunk over the weekend, but I'm. Yeah.
I feel like Singapore is one of those places, isn't it? It's like a pilgrimage for just benders, isn't it? You see your expats mates, you get weird. You don't see them very often.
It's just it's also
it's just
strange. Like
great city.
There's something about weather being like, do you know what I mean? Like you go outside,
nice
it's 28 degrees, humidity. It's lash humidity. You're like feeling the party. The action is in the air and the walls.
Yeah, it hits the brain just a lot quicker. 100%.
Back to the rugby though. So Max, genuinely, what do you think England or Borthers needs to do, or is it Borthers they need to change? What do they need to do?
Well, yeah, they need to get a little bit more hygienic with the ball handling. I mean, it's got to stick some of those passes, and then I think that forward shape, the sort of the classic threes off of 9, just a bit more animation, a bit more sort of changing up, like more tips, more threats at the line. I just thought it was very telegraphed, like lots of one-off runners just on their ones flying into, and at international level it's very difficult to sort of overpower like 2-3 men the way England were trying to. Like you saw like Marrow, Ellis, and that just sort of going in on their ones, and it's just not gonna happen.
But Max, you do realise
but Max.
Finn Russell, out of the last 7 games against England, has won 6 and drawn 1. He just doesn't know how to lose them. So it's that again is a worrying stat. Last time Scotland won 4 in a row was back in 1896 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was being spoused everywhere. Don't pretend that you kind of some kind of brain with that one.
100 years ago, 100 years. But do you know the best thing was the arrogance, of Toby Flood and that. When I got back up on stage after you just been beaten, and they're giving it, oh yeah, it's taken you 100 years. Oh, here we go. Give me the offload stats, Mark, because that's another thing. Like they've got to be able to catch the ball.
This is going to be killer for England fans out there. Now, interestingly, Italy are the joint top for offloads with Ireland, both on 25. Scotland and France tied on 24. So there really isn't any kind of this. It's marginal between those 4 sides. Wales only have 13. England 7 offloads. I mean, that is shocking, really. That is.
Yeah, but offloads are a byproduct of like dominant carry game, and right now that's what England are struggling with. That's just a byproduct of the problem. It isn't the problem.
So you don't think it highlights or it frames a certain sort of regression in attack, whereas the teams that made Italy were making the most breaks as well. Ireland obviously crushing everybody. Scotland, the fact that France are up there, but that England is so far behind.
I know. I just think the attacking shape's just not. It's not fluent. It's not coherent at this point. Like it's too telegraphed. The ball's kind of slow. I thought Scotland were very good at sort of slowing that breakdown down. Like speed kills, especially at international level. And right now, with the sort of structure that the 3-pod with the forwards, and then out the back, the other 2, they're playing like a 3-3. It's just not fluent at this point.
I hate to say it, because we love him, he's a friend of the show, but Ollie Lawrence barely even touched the ball, or didn't throw it into touch a couple of times. Slade just absolutely nowhere to be seen. A lot of people calling for the old codgers like Cole and Marler to sort of step away. What are your thoughts on all that? Because there's a lot of stuff flying around going, we need to do this, we need to change some of the players in there.
Yeah, but it is at this point for Borthwick, there's no obvious sort of successor in that regard. Like Joe Marler's still doing bits. Dan Cole's still a very astute set piece technician. I don't. There's no one putting his hand up in the Prem right now saying I'm that guy. I'm definitely that guy. It has to be so sort of the gap it has to be quite significant for.
But how is that fucking possible? Scotland have 2 professional teams. And look how many there are in the Premiership. There go the balloons, celebrating again.
Who would you put ahead of Dan Cole? I just there's no.
Your call's better than mine, mate. I haven't got a fucking clue about that sort of stuff. But all I'm saying is,
they've thrown Will Stewart in. They've thrown Will Stewart in, but he's not been quite as clean set piece wise as Dan Cole. So now Dan Cole's starting again. Carl's been removed fully from the team. There's a few young guys that potentially are quite prodigious talents, but they're still too young to be sort of blooded yet in the first team. Joe Hayes is probably the next cab off the rank. He's playing well, so that could be an avenue. He's still insanely young for how much first team rugby he's been playing for Leicester Tigers. So, but then Dan Cole's the incumbent starter at Leicester, so it makes sense to start Dan Cole, doesn't it? But yeah, I'd love to see sort of Beno Urbano get a run, 100%. But for one reason or another, he doesn't seem to be trusted at this point. They want to play Ellis and they want to play Joe. Those 2 are the guys right now. And I don't know. I would 100% like to see what Beno offers on the international game. But right now, Steve trusts his guys, and those are his guys. He knows them well.
Big Dewey's closing in on Stuart Hogg's try-scoring record. He's 1 away, boys. He's obviously going to do it, isn't he? He's got Italy next week, and we spoke to Michele Lamaro, and I did hope that I said, listen, all the best for the rest of the tournament, but not next week. But you'd think Dewey going over there. Big Duane will get that try and break Stuart Hogg's record. And
the thing is, with Dwayne now, every time you watch him, I can't stop thinking of Sione being like, he does things nobody else can do on a rugby field. Shit rugby player, but does things like he's sort of jokingly, obviously, but he's like the most superhuman, but not necessarily the most talented rugby player. And every time you see those things, that's kind of weirdly how it feels. That's how I watch it now.
Yeah, he's Kryptonian. Like he could just do it. Just give him the ball and let the man just express himself physically.
Should we move on from this? Because I'm just
God.
Hold on. What was our bet, by the way? I'm pretty sure there was a bet. One, you've got to eat a fucking hot chip at some point because I got something else right.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
This was money. This was like, this was 100 quid.
Was it 100?
1,000?
20, wasn't it?
I thought it was just 20, but if it is
how
100,
much do you need for your mortgage?
look back through the archives and let me know. I'm a man of my word.
Max, just to close that one off, no complaints then from Murrayfield. You know, Scotland getting a deserved win, and England coming away with nothing.
Yeah, they were the formidable. They were absolutely worthy victors.
Ryan, you disagree? No, you've been pretty. You think it should have been?
I don't think I need to say any more. I think we should move on. It was a bit embarrassing by England, but boys, if there's one thing we take from all of this, you fuckers should apologise because what did I say? Right, and I know we all know how the Grand Slam works. All right, joke's over now because actually, when we fucking beat Italy in 2 weeks' time. There's almost a bitterness about this fucking result because you look back at that French game, you look at that last moment of the French game, we should have been going to Ireland, and I think I can get ahead of myself. I don't think there's any fucking hope in hell that we will lose, oh God, touch wood whistle, to Italy,
just so good,
right?
Go on.
But we should be going over to Ireland with an opportunity to win a fucking Grand Slam. And I've said it. I said it over and over again. That weird things can happen when there's something that big on the fucking line. I don't really think there's a huge chance we can go over to Ireland and win. It's a fucking tough old job to do. Wales held up a bit of a fight, and I think I was actually quite impressed with how well Wales did. But when you get to that, right, when you beat Italy, I think there'll almost be a feeling as a Scottish fan sitting there going, fucking hell, boys, we should have been on for a Grand Slam, all because of that one decision from a fucking referee, which was wrong, and the whole call around that situation with the try. How bad is that? That is shite, isn't it? Shite.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, okay, it's shite, but you still have there's a glaring flaw in your sort of hypothetical Grand Slam, and that
you've got to go and beat Ireland in Ireland.
The daddies.
But weird things can fucking happen. Hold on. Out of all of Ireland's last 11 games, they've got 10 bonus point wins. Not against Scotland, I tell you. That's what I'm hanging my hat on.
Yeah. That game in the World Cup was pretty bonus pointy, if we remember rightly.
Listen. But now you're starting to look and go, you'd feel the same, boys. You'd be like, fucking hell, this could have been an unbelievable opportunity. Sat there second in the tournament. The big question is, who do I support? England or Ireland in 2 weeks' time? Because actually, it would be better for England to win because it would bring Ireland closer to us. But I'd rather cut my fucking nose off to spite my face.
Classic. Right. What is the... And you've been in that sort of environment. You know, there is a chance you could still win the Triple Crown. Is that something that players actually care about?
Like, this isn't me being a dick, right? But this Scotland team, that you keep going. All they keep doing is breaking records. Like, look at that game against Wales. Although, fucking hell, by the skin of our teeth in the second half, they broke a record there. They haven't been down to Wales for 20 years or something, and beaten them. Obviously, first time in 100 years, we won the Calcutta Cup 4 times in a row. So they're breaking records left, right, and centre. Their main goal, though, will be they want to win a championship. Like that's obviously everyone's goal when they come into this competition. So, but yeah, they could win a Triple Crown. It would have been nicer going for a Grand Slam, but I don't know. Max, you've got to understand what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like you get into finals footy when you get into the into a final, and then there is a proper underdog, and then fucking weird things can happen on the day. You know?
Yeah, I agree. But Ireland are going to look at Scotland as the team that they are the biggest threat to their chances of a Grand Slam. It's not like they're not looking at anyone else. They're definitely looking at Scotland. You boys have got the targets on your back in terms of their scrutiny.
Some matchup though, isn't it? It's going to be.
Oh no, it's going to be dreamy. I can't wait. It's going to be class.
But I don't know if there was a Grand Slam on the line, it's different gravy. Different gravy.
Like, don't worry, the fans' Grand Slam is still the line.
Right, but it is in all likelihood that green machine. I think we probably agree is just looking unstoppable. Wales. I think that the scoreline doesn't necessarily reflect exactly how it went down, and it was slightly closer than it seemed for most of the match. But how did you boys see it?
They're just superior at this point. They're just playing sort of a different game, aren't they? They're just so well orchestrated. The collection of players they've got now, there's like legitimate some of the best players in the world playing in that 15. They're just unbelievable. Like Dan Sheehan, mate, what a monster at hooker. Like fully a handful all game. Who else was horrible?
Ty Burn. He was good. He's in there. He'd be in my Six
Nations.
He's been
good for so long as well, hasn't he? He's been class. Amazing player. He can do it all as well. He's got like deft hands, but he can like put his head down.
Sheehan has 7 tries in the Six Nations, which is the most by a hooker since it actually became the Six Nations. But he's 25. Do you know what I mean? He's only played 24 times or whatever for Ireland, and yet he's already kind of
I know it. Unreal.
Surpassed the hooker try tally.
Andrew Porter, strong game up front. He had Azarati on toast, poor bloke. He just winning that, and then him and Tiger just dominating that scrum. There was a big in for them.
But you've got to give it to Wales. I genuinely like the way they hang in there and kept it pretty close. I think, what was it, like nearly 70 minutes to go? Is it 17-7 or something like that? There was only 10 points in it right near the end of the game. So you're looking at going, they managed to stay in games, but they just have bad halves of rugby, and their discipline was nowhere near, because that's what we said, wasn't it, a few weeks ago? They managed to stay in games with their discipline. Their discipline wasn't anywhere near as good as it was against Scotland and England. But they have they didn't score any points in the first half. We know against Scotland. Against England, didn't score any points in the second half. And then this one, the first half against Ireland, they had like a bad period. So if they could just put an 80 minutes together and find a way, and that's what we'll talk about with Italy. Like, didn't you feel like in the Italy game, they're just going to get and sort of burn out near the end, and they're keeping them close, but they just need to find a way to finish. And I suppose with a youngish team that's playing pretty well, I tell you what, Cameron Winnett for the 15, he's just been getting better and better for Wales. He's been outstanding. Rafael just getting around doing all sorts of stuff. So they have got some hope there with some players, but there just seems like a lack of concentration at some point. It's like that the try at the end. Who was it went through with Ty Burn? Went through, and it was just such a simple try, and their defensive system seemed a bit off. So I don't know. I've got hope for the Welsh, and they have been.
Oh man, they're building nicely. Yeah, 100%. They can be. I think they can be quite.
And so it goes down to that. It will realistically go down to that last game. Is it Wales versus Italy last game at Principality? So that'll be the big one for who gets the wooden spoon, I think, because I can't see them doing a job next week. But they're sticking in there, and good on them.
Well, look, we're obviously going to hear a lot more from within. From behind the curtain, if you will, but from within the heart of everything that happened in Lille between France and Italy, and in those last few moments, and hearing it from the Italian captain, it was quite eye-opening because Well, Max, there's a lot of you're sort of conflicted in a way, aren't we? You're watching it, let's say, as a neutral, and most neutrals wanted Italy to win because they're the underdogs, but also the fact that they didn't lose. Whereas you probably, before the tournament started, particularly with their form in the World Cup, you would have thought that this would have been one of those games that they were going to lose rather heavily away in France. But fabulous and a really backs to the wall, and then grew into it and gave that 80 minutes that we haven't really seen them do in a long time.
Yeah, when they weathered that storm of just Big Uni and Pasolo to Lynagh just running hard round the corner, they just weathered that, gave them nothing, like a few points here and there off Ramos boots, but you could just tell that was a huge confidence booster for them, and it just allowed them to grow into the game. And then with the 14 men, that sort of that attrition built up, and it slowly caught France up, and then it gave them the opportunity to actually win the game in the end, which is wild.
But Max, right, we've spoken with Mitch earlier. You didn't. He sort of took it on himself, which I think was. You'll hear from him in a minute. He says, as a captain, I should have maybe, but he was there charging down. Isn't it fucking mad? Isn't it mad that 2 moments, and we won't even go back on it. We'll just touch on it quickly. The end of the Scotland-France game, but then you've got this now. The first time they've beaten France in France for how many years? Mark, it's like a ridiculous. 99, I think.
Long time, yeah.
Was the last time?
It's over 20.
So it's over 20, only 20 years, 25 years. And the amount of things that were wrong with it. Water fucking carrier on the field, which they've not spoken about and sorted out, got him off. The referee saying, I can't see the shot clock. You've got someone charging down a penalty, which you're not allowed to do, but still the fucking referee doesn't make the right decision, doesn't stop it and go, hold on. What the fuck is rugby getting to if you can't? That is a clear and obvious mistake that's been made.
Yeah, but I completely agree. I completely agree with you. But from the ref's point of view, he's in a real cauldron right now. He recognizes the gravity of the consequences of this kick. I think it just that whole sort of that moment just got to him a bit. It just overwhelmed him potentially. But I agree with you. I think you should do the shot clock. There's a lot wrong. Concur.
Isn't that when we should have a TMO in that? Isn't that the real help? The in the ear saying, look, you really need to have a look at that. This has happened. It's clear and obvious. I mean, I'm using football parlance, which isn't right, but it is obvious. We need to really. Can you have a look?
Well, they do it with headshots. So
they should do it there.
Other massive moments in a game like that, the biggest fucking moment in the game, and that's what the problem is. We talk about the pressure that the referee's under, but fucking the pressure that Garbisi is under, the pressure that fucking Michele Lamaro is under now, sitting on a fucking plane going, oh, do you know what? Maybe I should have been in the ref's ear, but he was too busy chasing after a kick that might hit a post because he could get the rebound. What? It's fucking crazy, man. And it's 2 huge decisions in this championship that have ruined it for 2 teams.
Yeah.
So it's fucking frustrating. It is so frustrating.
No, I completely agree. There was a lot of controversy around that, 100%. Especially the shot clock was wild. To be fair, though, looking at Garbisi's reaction, I was like, he didn't seem completely irate, did he? He seemed...
No.
There was a sort of I don't know. Yeah, he seemed not... I'm not going to say he was happy. But you know what I mean? He was comparatively to... He's quite an emotional guy, generally speaking, when I watched him play for Italy. And he didn't seem so lamenting the whole circumstance.
But imagine what is going through his head. He is lining up a kick to win it for France, for Italy, in France, the first time in 25 years. The pressure. You talk about the ref in a cauldron under fucking pressure. The pressure's on him. So it's not his job to think about that. His job is put the ball on tee and kick it over. Maybe put it on there a bit better next time so it doesn't fucking blow off in a stadium where there's no wind. But his thought is he's got to kick this over. So he's not thinking about that, And so that wouldn't have gone through his head. He would have been like, I've just hit the post and missed a kick and lost it for Italy. Meanwhile, the ref should be going, that bloke's just tried to charge it down. He shouldn't have. Oh, God. I'm actually gutted for him.
You know
Rerun
what?
the fun.
Even as a Frenchman, there was an element of fuck that felt. And now rewatching it, I'm also like, in a weird way, if he'd absolutely fucked that kick, there might have been a better react. Like you might have been able to go, this was something wrong has happened here. But because it looked like it was actually going over and it was so close, you're like, it almost took away from that moment. And especially talking to their captain, you could see what they're trying to do and what they're building. I mean, look, the future does look bright for Italy. But cool.
And we chat about that next, so we won't go too much. But like special mention for some of the players, like Menoncello, by the way, was outstanding.
Yeah, Menoncello was very good. Montiuani, very good.
Yeah, they're growing, aren't they, Max? So we're happy with that, 100%. And they definitely deserve their place. It'll be interesting to see how they see. So enjoy that.
C'è un piacere avere il nostro show Michele Lamaro, il capitano italiano. Mitch, an absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. Thank you for coming on to MAUL or Nothing and for right moments, really, still digesting everything that's happened to you over the last 24 hours.
I haven't yet, so...
Mitch, I'm angry, Mitch. I'm angry, so I don't know how you feel. I'm not even Italian, but I'm still angry from a few weeks ago when a similar thing with a decision was made towards the end of the game with Scotland. I can't imagine how you boys are feeling because that was so close, eh?
Yeah, it was. We were gutted, honestly. Obviously, we couldn't. Yeah, still can't figure out what happens in the last 2 minutes of the game, but I think obviously it was unbelievable. Such an atmosphere in Lille with a close stadium, so that was pretty cool. But then at the end, obviously, what matters most was to bring it home, and we actually couldn't be able to do that. So yeah, obviously a little bit unlucky.
Mitch, I know you'll obviously want to be careful and have to be careful because, listen, we don't want to go pointing fingers and blaming anyone. But have you boys, there must have been a little bit of chat afterwards. I see, obviously, I'm guessing anyone that listens to this will know exactly what happened with the ball falling off the tee. At the moment in time, there was a water carrier on the field. The French player actually charged a penalty kick, which you can't do, which we know that's in the rules. At which point I heard the referee saying, I can't see the shot clock. I don't know how long's left on the clock. And then obviously Garbisi gets it back on there. And he does well to get it back on and take the shot at goal. And you think, this is it. It's going over. But it doesn't. And straight away I'm thinking, but they've charged. So something's going to happen here. What happened? Because the rules are, it should be retaken.
Yeah, actually the rules are like that. I think me as a captain, I should have been a little bit more, in it, a little bit closer to the kicker because I was trying to charge it, to charge the kick if it had actually hit the post. So I was pretty far away from him. So I couldn't be able to talk to the ref, and I think that's a little bit of a mistake from my side because I think it could have put a little bit of pressure on him. But anyway, I'm not blaming anyone. It's such a difficult situation because obviously everyone is under pressure. The kicker, the referee, the opposition, they're all under pressure. So it can happen. I think it's tough to, take a good decision in between, but then at the end, you can see and say, okay, you could have done 100 things better. So we stick to that, and there's no big points around it.
Well, I think extremely valiant of you, to say that as captain. But I've been in your shoes, mate. As you're there waiting for anything to bounce off, and for a moment it looked like France were going to have another crack. They tried to go round you, so you couldn't just stop and argue with the referee. So I'd stay away from that. I think on my behalf and what I would say on behalf of anyone that wasn't French, and even some of the French fans, I think, are going, that kick needs to be retaken. So I wouldn't hold anything on your shoulders, big man. I think you've been outstanding. And let's move away from that. The most tackles in the championship so far, and by a long way, and the most dominant tackles. Mate, you've been going all right.
When I always hear this, it's always pretty I still want to carry more and to play with the ball in the hands, honestly, and score tries. I would honestly be more like Van der Merwe in this moment. But yeah, we take what we have, and yeah, I'm obviously there for the team, and if we need to defend like we did yesterday, I'm staying in the front line to do that. So that's my job, and that's what I have to do. So whenever it takes, I'll do 20 plus tackles for the team. So I'll do that. If we will have in the future times where you need me to carry 20 balls, I'll do that as well. So I'll be there in all the moments. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming for.
A true captain, and honestly, Mitch, the way you boys defended, like especially in that first half, watching you boys, it's 10-0 for so long, and just the dogged defence. You must have been so proud of the boys after that.
Yeah, 100%. I think like that's what really kept us in the game, because after 10 minutes we were already, after like 15 minutes we were already 10-0, and it's pretty easy at that moment to start cracking a little bit. But I think what we've built on is like to keep fighting for each other and to keep believing that what we prepared and what we can do, it's something bigger than just cracking every single time. So I think that based an unbelievable defense, that rewatching the game, it's something couldn't even believe that, like more than a few times we were on the inside our 5 meters, and they got some really big boys, some really big units. So it was really tough to defend them and to defend that. But if you can tackle them in two-man tackle, maybe a third-man tackle as well, then probably everyone helps each other.
How big is Poso Tuolangi in the flesh though? And he carried a few times. You boys are
Yeah,
putting
he
the shots.
did. He did. Nah, I think he's huge. Such a huge man, like really tall and giant legs. Nah, really unbelievable big, and he likes to carry it to hit boys. So that's the main part of it. Most of the times you find like players that are big, but then they don't really go into contact with full pace. He's not like that. He just likes to do that, and he likes to hit guys. So I think that's the game changer for him. And he's been honestly pretty difficult to defend. Sometimes, obviously, even like that. He's big, but he's like a little bit slow in working with the feet. So you can take the timing on him. In that case, a few times we could be able to stop him pretty well. And another few times, obviously, he's a good player and he's an unbelievable carrier. So he took advantage of it.
Mitch, is there a feeling of disappointment that you get so close to beating France, or conversely, overwhelming pride at really having got to the point where you could and perhaps should have won it at the very end?
I think in the last few years, I've always been talking about like performance, and like good performances leads to wins and to what we all want to achieve, actually. And so on that side, I can be prouder than what we did yesterday. Obviously, there are lots of things we could do better, but at the same time, we were really close against a French team that obviously we know they had a few like doubts probably. But we could be able to stay in the fight for the whole 80 minutes. And that's what we're looking for, to get in the last 5 to 10 minutes into the game where we can have possibly a chance to win it. So on that side, and as I always say, like performance the first thing, I'm fully proud of the team. On the other side, I think obviously we had a great chance to win a game, and those chances in France, it's something that doesn't really happens every single year, especially for us, because we know how it works. So I think we should have won the game, honestly. So at the moment, disappointment is more than the proudness of having done a great performance out there.
I think for me, Mitch, anyone involved with Italian rugby at the moment sees where it's going. You look at the way that your under-20s have been performing over the last few years. They've done really well, and you're bringing out some unbelievable young talent. And then again, you look at Zebre have been performing better. I know they're still not anywhere near where you want them to be, but Zebre as a team in the URC have been doing better. And then Benetton have been fantastic. I've done some commentating over the last few weeks, and Glasgow actually going to play you boys this weekend. So that'll be another big game and a top of the table clash. But to see the way that Italian rugby is going, to be a part of that, and actually everyone's talking about the Welsh being, one of the youngest squads. Believe it or not, you boys have got the youngest average age of players in the Six Nations. So they're right in front of you with a new coach in Quesada. You boys must be thinking, okay, we're growing, we're building something special here.
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously the base is something that the entire Italian movement gives you. And I think, first of all, you need to go in the right direction on that point. And I think they are doing, especially with the young guys. But then there is a link between under 20s and top rugby that is pretty difficult when obviously you got some players that needs to play at a highest level, but then you got pro players that needs to play in Benetton. So there's not that much that big space for the youngest to get involved. So anyway, I think things are dynamically changing, and things are going into the right direction. So that's the main point, honestly, because everything is about moving forward faster than all the other nations does. Because I can't just move the same velocity to the others, because at the moment we are still not where we want to be. Obviously we are getting there, and national team is always like the we say the top of the iceberg, it's always like everyone's looking just at the national team, but Zebra and Benetton needs to work better and better every single year in order to get to the national team, the highest performing people and players.
But these results here, like what happened with you against France, also, as Ryan mentioned, the under-20s beating France for the first time ever. The world champions, let's not forget, having won very comfortably the under-20 world championship last year. So there must be a feeling finally that, yes, performance is important, but also the results are starting to happen now. And it really is actually a bright future and not a false dawn.
100%. I think, as you mentioned, one of the most important things is always a good balance between moving forward, but then focus there, like thinking of the future, but then thinking of the moment as well. And that's something we have to create really, really well, because obviously we know we got a new coach, we got a new staff, some new players, but we need to focus that today is the most important day. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be the next year. Today is going to be the day, and that's all. I think it's obviously encouraging the fact that results are starting to come, and that's something we need to get some energy from. So that's the main thing.
I know obviously we've spoken about the disappointment at the end of that game for you boys against France, but you look back at the Scotland game as well, Mitch, and that decision right at the end of the Scotland game. Is it frustrating you at all, these moments in such big tournaments? Because for Scotland, and these guys have laughed at me the whole time, I said the final game against Ireland will be a Grand Slam decider for Scotland. And we still have a job to do on you guys. We have to come over and beat you in Rome, which isn't easy. But there's such big moments in your whole career, and some of those players will never get that moment again. Does it frustrate you?
100%. Honestly, 100%. It does. It does frustrate me, my teammates, and everyone. Honestly, these are special moments. If you think of the back of the years, I think like whenever I think last time Italy went close to beat France in France was 2016 with the last drop goal, and the time before was back in 1999. So it happens three times in 25 years. So that's something obviously that makes you think of whenever you got the chance to do that, you have to go for it 100%. That's obviously something frustrating that obviously it was just for a thing of 15 centimeters. Because at the end, yeah, top sports is all about like small margins, small details. And I think yesterday we had the main proof of it.
I feel as though for the first time in quite a long time, you've got young, real sort of star talent coming through. And I mean, there's the obvious ones, but Ange Capuozzo, who seems like he can make things happen. Of course, in the back line, I'm talking about Paolo Garbisi, again, another fabulous player. Yourself, you've got such a solid back row, and Max talks so favourably also about your front row, and particularly Danilo Fischetti. And is there a sense now that you should be competing with the best teams all of the time now?
Yeah, 100%. I think that sort of mindset, it's something that it doesn't comes from day to day. It's something that you install in a little like longer term. Because obviously, yes, guys are really young. Because I think Paolo is now turning 24, and he's been around. Paolo Garbisi, I mean, he's been around for 4 years more already. So he's starting to get to that mindset where okay, maybe the first few years was okay, I need to adapt myself, and I'm young and I'm not really experienced. But then you start transforming that sort of mindset into okay, now I got experience and I know what I'm accepting from the team and from the environment. So that is something that once you got it, then you can really start pushing in the right direction and push all the youngest guys that are coming into the team to that same direction. And that is something that I think when we started, 4 years ago, we didn't have that. Those players that leads into that direction, and I think our job now, mine one, as you mentioned, I think Paolo, all the guys that has been around like for the last 4 years, we've been pretty much every time we got like those 10 to 12 players that has done that. They need 100% to go and to lead the whole team into the direction. That is exactly what we are trying to do and where we want to go. So it gives us obviously confidence. At the same time, it gives you responsibility. But we need to be aware of it and keep pushing in that direction so that everyone can inspire from that. Not only us, even like young people, young guys, kids, whatever. Like everyone that plays rugby needs to get inspired by our attitude and things we do on the pitch and on the field.
Mitch, for me, I just want to ask about Gonzalo Casada. Is he? When I see Benetton play, I was at the game against Edinburgh, and especially with Benetton, you've got people like, is it Troncon who's still involved with the coaches?
Yeah.
Talk of passion. That man was very passionate that day. I think
He's
the
such a
table took an
character.
absolute beating.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think Gonzalo is obviously an Argentina guy that brings a lot of energy and lots of a little bit of laughing, passion, As you mentioned, Tronchi is someone that on that part he's like unbelievable. He has been my under-20s coach, and since that point I understood these guys living only for rugby. It's his only way to live life, you know. And once you got that, and once you have someone that gets into the team like that, then you can have some inspiration about it. And I think Gonzalo is trying to bring us. He's I think a good balance between that Latin mindset that sometimes not the best thing, but then you have lots of passion and energy. But at the same time, he's worked a lot with French guys where he's similar, like English kind of mindset as well. And so is the right combination between these 2 years of, being very clinical, very ruthless and very precise, and on the other side being playing with your heart, playing with passion, playing with everything you have.
So what you're saying is he's not quite as crazy as Troncon, but he's crazy enough.
I've never met anyone crazy, or even crazy as Tronky, but I would say he's definitely a lot more, self-conscious than Tronky. But yeah, no, he's for me a good guy.
Good man.
I just got one more before we let you go, Michele. It's a bit of news a few weeks back that made a lot of headlines over this way. Was Lynagh declaring for Italy and then choosing to go and move across to Benetton. And he's very much a player that England want to capture, and he has chosen to go and do that for Italy. For you, is that the sort of statement now that kind of shows what you guys are about, that it isn't people at their end of their careers trying to get themselves some international caps. It's people at the start knowing that the future lies here.
Honestly, 100%. I think culturally, that is something that completely changes the mindset of other people watching into ours, and ours as well. Same thing is like over the last 10 years, I think, not that many Italian players has been, wanted from the abroad teams. I think now things are starting to slightly change. Obviously, we got a few players that plays in top Qatars. We got a few players playing in Premiership. And things is that Benetton's obviously giving lots of Italian player a good opportunity to play in a top level team, and players are starting to want to stay at Benetton, to perform for Benetton, because it's pushed in that way. So these two things, like Italian players wanting to stay in Italy to perform for Benetton, and half Italian abroad that are performing well, like top players as Luis, choosing to come and play for Benetton or come and play for Italy. That is something that all around gives you a completely different perspective than it was before.
Nice. Right, we better let him go.
The future is bright. Forza Italia, eh?
Forza Italia, exactly.
I will always say.
I just, listen, make sure you're not too good in 2 weeks' time against Scotland. That's all I ask. Grazie mille.
Nah, that's. I'm sorry, but I'll ask for the exact opposite.
Mitch, thank you so much, brother. All the best for the rest of the tournament.
Thank you for your time.
Are you happy for me to move on quickly? Because Fantasy Dream Team, we've obviously added more people to the thing because I am falling quickly. But boys, I'm still in the top. I'm still in the top 200. only by one.
Have joined.
199th.
Lads, I'm 119th. Oh,
that's not bad.
No, that's good. That's good, Max.
I'm taking that.
Boys, I made the big mistake of keeping Duhan van der Merwe in there, but not making him captain, which I'm guessing you did.
I did that. I didn't make him captain, sadly.
Yeah, I think that was obviously a big one. And I made Blair Kinghorn captain, but also forgot to put in a sub somehow. I don't know how I forgot to do that. So that's not helped me. But making excuses, I'm down there at 199th. Mark, what's the name of your team again?
Just the tip, Eric.
Just the tip, Rick. And you can't be in the top 200. There's no way.
I am, guys. I am coming. You've got me. I'm so small in your rear view now. But oh my god, I am quite literally the T1000, just gathering. I'm not, but I have finally overtaken people. Firstly, bearing in mind, can we just remind anybody who's just coming in on this? I didn't.
No. We don't need to hear
I didn't have points from round one. Okay, so I'm one round out, but I'm now 212th.
Right,
out of 240. But with one round off. So I'm coming in.
Well, thank you for everyone that's joined. We'll obviously give a special mention to Rory, who's right at the top. Pretty shit name. Oh God, I hope you're not a child. But yeah, Rory is at the top. Rory's at the top of our league. We've got Louis J and Scottish Messi up there, top 3. A special mention to in number 6, Brun Thun, who's jumped 27 places. That's quite impressive. But that's about it. That's all I'll give you.
I've been getting texts and everything from our sort of production team to mention how they're doing. They were both top 10 in this round, to be fair. Cam, our stat man, is 60th, and producer Jim is 78th. And again, they didn't put much thought into their names.
The big brain on Cam.
And on that note, I'm wearing my special cap, boys. As you can see, I just want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors that are Wolf Craig Distillers with us all the way. You can head over to their website, Max, can't you, which is
wolfcraig.com.
You can jump over there, grab yourself one of their lovely bottles of whiskey. And if you're a gin man or woman, then you can obviously go on there and get a gin. It's very nice stuff. I'm going to be enjoying a few of those this week because I've just got a new little box of 6 of them. So very excited for that. And I'll have to get some down to you boys. But thank you again to Wolf Craig Distillers for your ongoing support.
Well, sadly, that is all the time we've got left for this week. A huge thank you to Ryan, to Max, and to Michele Lamaro as well. And to all of you for listening and watching. And we will see you all next week.
Peace, baby.
More or nothing.
For those that were wondering what happened to the podcast last week, we might have over-enjoyed ourselves at the live show, and therefore things had to be taken down and rehashed a little bit. So for any inconvenience caused, for any of you that were wondering why it was up and down and forward and backwards and here and there and everywhere, that was it. Next time, we'll have to behave ourselves a bit more, but who cares? We're all right.